My name is Mark Delaney. For 7 years, I worked overnight maintenance on the New York City subway system. Night shifts pay more. But they cost you something else. Down there after midnight, the subway isn't a place people pass through. It's a place that waits. Most workers don't last long on nights. I stayed because I thought I understood the tunnels. I was wrong. The last scheduled train passed my section just after 1:10 a.m. That's how it always worked. Once the final train cleared the line, the tunnels went silent. No movement. No vibration. Just darkness, broken only by work lights and the sound of dripping water. That night, I was checking signal cables near a curve between stations. I remember looking at my watch. 1:14 a.m. Too late for another train. That's when I felt it. A vibration under my boots. Low. Slow. Not the roar of a train. More like pressure. Then I saw headlights in the tunnel. That shouldn't have been possible. No train was scheduled. No test run. No clearance. I stepped back against the wall as it approached. The train passed me slowly. Every car was dark. No interior lights. No passengers visible. That alone was wrong. But then I saw the last car. In the final car, standing upright, was a shape. Too tall. Its head nearly brushed the ceiling. It didn't move. Didn't sway with the train. It was just there. Watching forward. I tried to make sense of it. Maybe a homeless person. Maybe equipment. But nothing lined up. No reflection in the windows. No shadow cast on the floor. And the strangest part? The car number. There wasn't one. Every subway car has a visible ID. This one was blank. Like it didn't belong to the system. As the last car passed me, something happened. The shape turned its head. Not fast. Not slow. Deliberate. I couldn't see a face. But I knew it was looking directly at me. My chest locked up. I couldn't move. The train disappeared into the tunnel. And the vibration stopped. I grabbed my radio. Asked control if an unscheduled train had passed. There was a pause. Then the dispatcher said, "There are no trains on that line." I told him what I saw. Another pause. Longer this time. Then he told me to clear the tunnel immediately. No questions. No explanation. The next morning, I checked the logs. No record of a train. No camera footage. I pushed harder. A supervisor finally pulled me aside. He told me something I still can't forget. Sometimes, old cars run. I asked what that meant. He said, "Trains that shouldn't exist anymore." Started asking around quietly. Other night workers had stories. A train with no lights. A car with no number. A shape standing in the back. Always the last train. Always late at night. Always undocumented. One man refused to talk about it. He just said, "It rides. It doesn't commute." Weeks later, I was reassigned to days. Before I left nights, I checked one last maintenance report. An incident from the 1940s. A derailment. A final car collapsed into the tunnel. Bodies never recovered. The report ended with one sentence. Last car unaccounted for. I quit the subway a year later. I still hear trains in my sleep. But not the normal ones. The slow ones. The quiet ones. The kind that pass when nothing should be moving. Because some things don't need tracks to travel. They just need somewhere underground. To ride forever. My name is Michael Alvarez. This happened to me at Los Angeles International Airport. On an airport shuttle I thought would last less than 10 minutes. It was supposed to be the safest part of the trip. I had already passed security. Already checked my bags. Already relaxed. That was my mistake. The shuttle was one of those white airport buses. People boarded quietly. Travelers dragging carry-ons. Families tired from long flights. A couple of airport workers heading between terminals. A man stood near the front. He wasn't loud at first. He wasn't acting strange. But something about him pulled attention without trying. He kept one hand inside his jacket. The other gripped the metal pole. I told myself not to stare. Airports make everyone nervous. That's normal. At least, that's what I thought. The shuttle slowed near the next terminal. That's when he spoke. Loud enough for everyone to hear. Nobody move. I have a bomb. No shouting. No panic in his voice. Just a flat statement. Like he was ordering coffee. What followed wasn't screaming. It was silence. The kind that presses against your ears. People froze in place. A suitcase tipped over and hit the floor, the sound echoed way too loud. I remember feeling my heartbeat in my throat. I didn't look at him. I was afraid that if I did, he'd notice me breathing. Your brain does strange things when you think you're about to die. I noticed stupid details. A crack in the window. The flicker of fluorescent lights overhead. The sound of the engine idling. I thought about my family. About unfinished conversations. I remember thinking. So this is how fast life can shrink. To a bus. To a sentence. To a stranger's voice. The driver slowly pulled over. No sudden movements. The doors stayed closed. No one argued. No one cried. We were all trapped inside that shuttle. Waiting to find out if the words were real. I could see the driver's hands shaking on the wheel. Within minutes, we heard sirens. Police vehicles surrounded the shuttle. Through the windows, I saw officers taking cover behind cars. Guns drawn. The airport, one of the busiest places in the world, went silent around us. For the first time, I realized how public transport can become a cage. Time stopped meaning anything. Seconds felt like minutes. Minutes felt endless. The man didn't move. He didn't repeat himself. That was the worst part. If he had been yelling, maybe it would have felt less real. But he was calm. Too calm. Eventually, officers boarded the shuttle. Slowly. Carefully. They restrained him. They searched his jacket. There was no bomb. Just empty space. I felt my knees give out. Not from relief. but from everything crashing back at once. We were escorted off the shuttle. People cried then. Some sat on the curb shaking. Others just stared at the ground. The airport resumed like nothing had happened. Flights boarding. Announcements echoing. But for us, something had changed. It was a hoax. No explosives. No detonation. But fear doesn't need to be real to be permanent. To this day, when I step onto airport shuttles, I listen harder. I watch hands. I notice voices. Because sometimes the most terrifying journeys are the ones that never leave the ground. My name is Anthony Reed. I worked nights for the Los Angeles Metro. If you've never been underground after midnight, let me explain something first. The trains don't stop when the city sleeps. But people disappear. By 1 a.m., stations feel hollow. Like they're waiting for something other than passengers. That night, I was assigned to a nearly empty line. I wish I hadn't been. The train arrived just after 12:47 a.m. Only 6 passengers got on. They sat far apart. No one spoke. That's normal for night trains. What wasn't normal was how quiet it was. No coughing. No phone sounds. No footsteps. Just the low electric hum of the train pulling away. Between stations, the train jerked violently. Lights flickered. Then everything stopped. No announcement. No warning. I radioed the operator. Before he could answer, a sound came through the speakers. At first, I thought it was feedback. Then I realized. It was screaming. It wasn't coming from inside the car. It was coming from under the train. Deep. Echoing. Wet. It didn't sound like pain. It sounded like hunger. Passengers began shouting. One woman started crying, asking what was under us. I had no answer. Neither did the operator. We cut power. Emergency lights kicked in, bathing everything in red. I was ordered to inspect beneath the car. That's procedure. I grabbed a flashlight and stepped onto the tracks. The tunnel smelled wrong. Like metal and rot. Something had been moving down there. I crouched and shined my light under the train. At first, nothing. Then I saw movement. Shadows shifting where there shouldn't be shadows. The screaming stopped. And that scared me more than the noise. My flashlight beam caught something reflective. Not eyes. Hands. Too many hands. Pressed flat against the underside of the train. Long. Thin. Bent the wrong way. They slowly pulled back into the darkness. Like whatever owned them realized it was being seen. Over the radio, control screamed at me to get back inside immediately. I didn't argue. As soon as I stepped into the car, the screaming started again. Louder. Closer. Passengers were covering their ears. One man started praying. Another tried to force the doors open. Without warning, the power surged back. Lights returned. The screaming stopped instantly. The train lurched forward like nothing had happened. No alarms. No announcements. Just motion. Passengers sat frozen. No one spoke. At the next station, we evacuated everyone. Maintenance crews arrived. They found handprints underneath the train. Dozens of them. Too long to be human. Too many fingers. No blood. No bodies. No explanation. The incident report was sealed. Classified as mechanical noise. We were told not to discuss it. But word spread among night operators. This wasn't the first time. It happens every few years. Always late. Always underground. Always beneath the train. I transferred to day shifts. I don't work underground anymore. But sometimes, when a train passes overhead, I swear I hear something moving beneath it. Waiting for it to stop again.
My name is Tasha Thompson. This story still doesn't feel real when I say it out loud, because it started like the most normal thing imaginable. I ordered an Uber. That's it. No warning. No fear. No bad feeling. Just a car pulling up, and a decision I've replayed every day since. It was early evening in Kalamazoo. Cold. Quiet. The app showed my driver arriving in a silver sedan. License plate matched. Photo matched. He smiled when I got in. Polite. Calm. I remember thinking how normal he seemed. The doors locked automatically. I didn't think anything of it. The ride was quiet. Not awkward. Just empty. He didn't make small talk. Didn't play music. His phone kept lighting up on the dashboard. Ride requests coming in. He ignored them. I noticed his hands were tight on the steering wheel. Knuckles pale. We were stopped at a light when it happened. A loud crack. Metal shattered somewhere behind us. People screamed. My driver didn't flinch. Instead, he calmly reached down. And I saw the gun. That's when I realized. The sound hadn't come from outside the car. Came from him. My body froze. I didn't scream. I didn't move. He accelerated like nothing had happened. No emotion. No rush. Just driving. I whispered, "Please let me out." He didn't respond. The app still showed my ride as in progress. Police sirens filled the air. He didn't stop. He slowed down. Watching. Almost curious. His phone buzzed again. Another ride request. He accepted it. I wasn't his destination. I was just still there. I understood something terrifying in that moment. He wasn't panicking. He wasn't running. This wasn't an accident. This was routine. Like driving was just something happening. Between shootings. Traffic slowed near a parking lot. He rolled down the window slightly. That's when I moved. I unlocked the door and jumped. I hit the pavement hard. I didn't look back. I heard another gunshot behind me. I don't know who it was meant for. Police surrounded me. People were crying everywhere. Phones ringing. Sirens screaming. They asked me questions I couldn't answer. All I could say was, he was my Uber driver. No one believed me at first. Later that night, the news broke. Multiple shootings. Same vehicle. Same driver. Same rideshare app. I watched his car on TV. The same seat. The same dashboard. I had been sitting right there. I don't use rideshare apps anymore. I don't sit in the back seat of cars I don't know. And when someone tells me I'm overreacting, I remember how calm he was, how ordinary, and how close I came to being. Another notification on someone else's phone.
My name is Bernhard Goetz. This happened to me on the New York City subway. It was December. Cold enough that the air underground felt damp and heavy. The kind of cold that follows you below the streets. I wasn't looking for trouble. I wasn't paying attention to anyone. I was just another person trying to get home. That's the lie we all tell ourselves underground. That we're just passing through. I boarded the train at 14th Street. The car smelled like metal, oil, and wet coats. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. People stood quietly, spaced out like strangers pretending not to exist. Everyone avoided eye contact. That's the rule. The doors slid shut. The train moved. And that's when they got on. 4 young men stepped into the car together. They didn't talk. They didn't laugh. They spread out slowly. One stood near the door. One leaned against a pole. The other 2 positioned themselves behind me. I noticed it immediately. You learn to notice patterns underground. This wasn't random. There's a moment before fear fully arrives. Your body reacts first. My shoulders tightened. My breathing changed. I didn't turn around. I didn't want them to know I noticed. The train rattled through the tunnel. The windows showed nothing but darkness rushing past. That's when I understood something important. Once the doors close, you're sealed in. One of them stepped closer. He looked directly at me. And he said, "Give me $5. Not loud. Not angry. Calm." The train kept moving. The doors stayed closed. I looked around the car. No one reacted. No one said a word. I had been attacked before. Beaten badly on the subway. Left injured. Ignored. Standing there again, trapped underground. My mind replayed everything. How fast it happened. How no one helped. I wasn't thinking about money. I was thinking about survival. Because underground, help doesn't come quickly. Sometimes it doesn't come at all. I realized something chilling. They weren't nervous. They weren't rushed. They were comfortable. That scared me more than threats ever could. This wasn't their first time. And I knew. If this escalated, no one would stop it. I reached into my jacket. The subway car exploded into chaos. People screamed. Someone ducked. Someone pressed against the wall. The train didn't stop. It kept racing through the tunnel. Metal wheels screaming against steel tracks. Everything felt unreal. Like time had fractured. Then, silence. The worst kind. No one spoke. The train slowed. My hands were shaking. I could hear my own breathing echoing inside my head. When the doors finally opened, cold air rushed in like a release. I stepped onto the platform. The tiled walls looked dirty. Unchanged. People stared. Police arrived quickly. Above us, the city continued as usual. But underground, everything felt heavier. Like the air itself remembered what had happened. I still ride the subway. But I never relax. Every door closing feels final. Every stranger feels closer than they should. Because the truth is, public transport doesn't make you safe. It just puts you together. And sometimes, underground, You realize too late that no one is coming to save you. These stories are real. Subscribe to hear the next one.